did this the Cowboy Vittle way. Welcome back to another day of cooking at Cowboy Vittles, a place that you can call home, a place that you can learn some new recipes, where you can enjoy time with your family in the kitchen. Now today, when I woke up, my wife told me she wanted some crunchy fried chicken with corn on the cob and a few other things. So I had to get up early because I was getting low on my hardtack, and I ain't spending that $3 at the store to buy bread. Come on over. I'd like to invite you over to see what you're going to need for this. Now here's the thing that we use in our crunchy fried chicken. You'll want to go ahead and get about 1 quart, or some people will just use ounces, 32 ounces of buttermilk. Then you're going to need 2 tablespoons of salt. Then the next thing you need is some white vinegar, and we use about 2 tablespoons of that. Then, of course, instead of going with the breadcrumbs that we don't have to buy out of the store for 50 cents, I started about 6:30 this morning getting them ready. Guess what? We're going to make our own breadcrumbs, because that's all that really is flour and water and stuff, and you'll be able to view some of the ways that I've prepared that in the past so that you can have it in your own kitchen. Now the next thing, you're going to need 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Next thing, you're going to need 1.5 teaspoon of dried thyme. Then let's go on to the next flavoring. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of chili powder. Then you're going to need 1 teaspoon of pepper, or if you want a little bit more, you can even add that in. Then we're going to take 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Now the next thing you're going to need is 4 to 5 cups of Mazzola or canola oil. Now the last thing that you're going to need, and it's the most important one, is going to be your chicken. With a family of 4, a 2-pound chicken wasn't going to cut the mustard. So this is about 6 pounds. And guess what? It's got all the different things that we're going to need to make into our gravy as we make our mashed potatoes. You got to have that. The last thing, got to have corn on the cob. Dinner ain't nothing like it should be without that. Now before we start chopping down this 6-pound chicken and get it into the marinade, I'd like to take a moment and introduce you to a few of my friends that I love to use when I'm cooking. The first one, I call it the Beast. And it has a good reason for that. It's very heavy. It's very solid. It's very sharp. Now this one here, a little bit smaller, and it's great for the kitchen. I call that Bronco because, you know, it's just like a rodeo. You gotta stay on that animal for a full 8 seconds, and sometimes when you're cooking, you might get bucked off. This is a good one for the kitchen. Now, you know, I always gotta have my ulu. Because I can use that for so many things. Cleaning fish. I can use it for chopping up vegetables. I can do it for a lot of other things. Let's put that one down before I cut myself again. Then you got Big Boy. This is my all-to-purpose knife that I can use for camping. I can use it for fishing. I can use it for hunting. I can use it for everything, to include in the kitchen. Then we got Little Boy, smaller version of the knife that is for hunting. But I tell you what, it comes in handy in the kitchen. Now let's get busy chopping up this chicken after I've introduced you to my friends. What we're going to do next, since we've got all the other stuff going, remember that 6-pound chicken? We're going to go ahead and start slicing that skin off there, because, you know, when I like to make our chicken, I like to take the skin off. Look at that. Let's just peel that off. Heck with it. See how easy that peels off? It's hot. It's another 100-degree day. Hey, I got it. Let me show you what we're going to do here. We got most of the skin off here. That way it can marinate properly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with these wings. And I'm just going to break them down. If it'll allow me. Ah, heck with it. You know what, Nene? I ain't gonna worry about it. This is Cowboy Vittle way, and I ain't gonna do like them chefs and them butchers. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a good whack. There we go. Yup. This is the way it should be. Okay, get this part off. I'm getting her. Oops. That's why you gotta have so many different knives. You gotta have the right one for the job. Chicken breast. That's mine. Not yours, Hope. Well, we got our chicken done Cowboy Vittle way. My wife, she likes her dark meat. Myself, I like the white meat. My children, they don't really care. But it's done. Now what we're going to do is get started on our marinade. We got our buttermilk. Let's go ahead and open this thing up. We're going to put in 3 cups of that. Ooh, I want to just drink that right out of the jug instead of putting that in the marinade. But my wife won't let me. Guess what, Nene? There's still some left over for me. Let's put that off to the side. Now, we've got 2 tablespoons worth of vinegar. We're going to throw that in there. Put that off to the side. And we got 2 tablespoons worth of salt. There we go. We got it rocking and rolling now. Now let me get out my wooden spoon so I can stir this all up. Well, we're stirring this around. We want all that stuff to come together. Get that salt and everything else mixed into that. Ooh. What do I do with that spoon? I guess I just have to make another mess for my wife. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and take this chicken. And my wife, she likes it with the skin on. So we're going to put some of them in there. And we didn't take all the skin off of everything. Just the things that I like. Let's get this in here. Oh, I tell you what, I'm going to be fat, dumb, and happy tonight. Now, depending on the amount of chicken that you want to do, you might need a little bit more buttermilk. And my wife is telling me, nope, that's enough. What we're going to do here, Oh, crud. I made a mess of my hands again. We're going to put some saran wrap over this because we're going to pop this into the refrigerator so it can marinate for about an hour. Now that our chicken is in the fridge marinating for the next hour, it's time to get on to the next step of this process. You remember that hardtack I told you about that I'd like to make? I ain't going down to the store to buy a small little package for $3 when I can use 50 cents of my money and a little bit of elbow grease and thyme. Now, I pulled out a few of them here, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that, because that's just as good a breadcrumbs as what you'd buy anywhere. Come on over here and take a look at this. Some of our hardtack. Let's get to cranking this down, because we need them 5 cups to make this work. And look at how nicely that's flipping out of there. Look at these breadcrumbs. 50 cents, a little bit of elbow grease and thyme, and she's ready to go ahead and put on our chicken and make it a nice golden brown with our saute. Ooh, yeah. Now it's time to go ahead and pick up this flavor just a little bit. We're going to add in all our different seasoning, but I'm going to need just a little bit bigger bowl for these 5 cups that I'm using. Let's go ahead and dump this in there. Set that off to the side. Now, remember that baking powder that I was telling you about? Let's throw that in there. Then we also have to have our thyme. There we go. We're getting her going, folks. Now, my chili pepper. Now, one of the other ingredients is our garlic powder. Gotta have that. Let's set that over there. Our last thing that we're going to be doing is, remember that 3/4 cup of buttermilk? Oh, gotta get that in there. Now, I know a lot of folks, you like to use these spoons and your spatulas and stuff when you're mixing up your batters. Not me. I got my gloves on. So let's get this going. Now, my wife, she already got our taters going so we can mash them, which she'll go ahead and do herself and have some gravy with it. And I'm going to tell you what, oh boy, I'm looking forward to a nice meal as always. Alrighty. Well, it's been another fun day cooking at the home of Cowboy Vittles. Now we're getting into our final phase of what we need to do. Well, we're going to start. Remember I told you that we had to go ahead and get our chicken going? It's already ready. Now we just got to get our oil going and get it hot. So let's go ahead and open this up, because you're going to need between 4 and maybe 5 cups of this. Let's get that into this pan. And yes, Nene, I know I'm going to make a mess, but I'm going to try to do it over this pan so it don't get mad at me. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. Let's just start off with the 4. Now let's turn this on to high heat on this heat plate that we got going. Now the next thing, I've got my hot water going. Time to get the corn. We got to have the corn with the chicken. So let's set this off here. Let's bring out Bronco. We got to have it. Oops. I made a mess. My dog's still knocked out. She ain't even worried about this. I'll try not to make any more mess. We're going to cut this down. One of these big old pieces of corn. And it almost rolled off on me. Let's get this in that hot water. Okay, my wife is looking at me kind of funny, so I guess I can't whack it like I normally would. So I guess I'll just go ahead and chop it down normally. Like someone that's got some common sense. Our oil is just about ready. It needs to be at 375 degrees. Now myself, because I've been doing this all my life, I can just eyeball it and I can tell when it's ready. Some folks, they like to use them deep frying thermometers, but there's another trick I'm going to show you here that if you don't have one of them and you're not experienced on noticing the signs, come on over here, let me show you something. Here's what you can do. I got my wooden spoon. I want you to take a look at that oil. It doesn't look like it's all that hot, but it is. Put your spoon down there. Look at them bubbles as they come around there. That's going to tell you you're at the right temperature. Now let's go ahead and get this chicken going. Now it's time to get our buttermilk flavored chicken and get it battered up. Let's go ahead and grab a chunk of this. Oops, made another mess. I'm going to put that in there. What we're going to do, remember that breadcrumb that we mixed up a little bit earlier on our old-fashioned meat grinder? Guess what? We got that in there. Now what we got to do is we got to get it rolled around real good. And I tell you what, it's going to be delicioso. Alrighty. That's what it should look like. Let's pop this into the pan. Get that started. There's our breadcrumbs. Let's get another chunk of this meat out there. And that's a big chunk. Let's go ahead and get this all worked in there. I think this is about all I'm going to be able to get into this pan at one time. There, now let's go on over and throw, oop, there went some grease. There we go. Yep, I was right. That's all I'm going to get into that pan for the moment. I'll have to come back and finish up the rest of it. In the meantime, I don't think you want to sit there watching me cook all of it. But I'm going to let this cook for just a few more minutes. So it's nice, toasty brown, and it's also going to be crispy. Well, a lot of our chicken is already done. I tell you what, I know it's going to be tasty. And I know you folks are going to love it. My wife actually allowed me to take the gloves off because now it's time to get eating. Because I'm hungry, my kids are hungry, she's hungry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these tasty niblets. Let me take a bite of this before I put it on the plate. Yep. Take me a moment to chew that up. Now what I'm going to do, my wife, while I was doing some of this stuff, she made up some tasty mashed potatoes. I'm going to put that on here. And I'm only going to take a little bit because just for the purpose of this. Now the gravy. And you know that big old chicken that we did up? Just like our turkey. We took the giblets out of there. And we cooked that up as well. That's good. Now, Nene, I'm going to get one of the bigger ones. Remember that corn I cooked up earlier? It's ready. Let's go ahead and get this on here. The butter. Got to have butter and salt on your corn on the cob. Now look at that corn on the cob. We cooked that up for about 20 minutes because I don't like it when it's soggy. I don't like it when it's totally raw. It's got a little bit of crunchy and crispness to it. And I tell you, when we put our unsalted butter on it, that's going to be what corn on the cob is. Now these mashed potatoes that my wife made up for us, ooh, I tell you what, I just had a chunk out of that. And my wife, she went ahead and threw in just a little sprinkling of mustard in there. Now that gravy, oh my gosh, just like we do even for Thanksgiving or whatever holiday it is. They have their giblets, and we got to have the giblets in there. And it's awful tasty. Now come over here and take a look at this chicken. And yes, I'm grubbing on it. And I'm taking my wife's favorite part of the meat that she likes the most, simply because of the fact that I was hungry. But I'm going to take a chomp out of that right now. Yep, just like I expected it to be. Oh, now let's get a taste of this mashed potatoes that my wife made up, along with that gravy with the giblets and stuff in there. Because you got to have the giblets, let's face it. Now, I want to go back here and revisit how we did this. Depending upon, as I always tell you, depending on your elevation and where you're at, is going to depend upon your temperature. You want it at least 375 degrees. We put our stuff in there for about 10 minutes on each side, and it came out nice and crispy. Yep, and it's good. Now, let's chomp into this corn on the cob. I like corn. It makes me a jolly good fellow. I like corn. But you know what? It don't like me, because the next morning, guess what? It's out of my system. But I'll continue eating it. Now let me set that down. What I want to do is thank you guys for coming to visit us here at Cowboy Vittles. Thank you guys for going down to the like button. Thank you for also subscribing to us and learning the new recipes and even following us on social media. And I hope you come back to visit us again. In the meantime, Cowboy Vittles, come and get them. You know, I tell you, my wife told me she shut the camera off, but as you do see, I'm still chomping down on this stuff. It's too good to put down. And I'm going to continue probably for the next couple of hours, because, hey, my belly needs it.